My Lord Bishop, the Apostolic Administrator of Kampala Archdiocese, Bishop Paul Semogerere, Madam the Prime Minister of Uganda, ministers and members of Parliament, Katikkiro wa Buganda, my fellow priests of Kampala Archdiocese, my young brother, the Bishop of Aliwal North in South Africa. It is really a good coincidence that someone invited from South Africa coincides with the one coming from the north of Europe. That is providence. I have just one point or two. My first point on this occasion, on the feast day of the Archdiocese, which I think I had never celebrated, I want to thank the Apostolic Administrator for having, and his team, the Chancellor, the delegates he has in the Archdiocese, the pastoral coordinator and others who organized this occasion to welcome a son of this Archdiocese who works as a missionary in South Africa, and also to welcome another son of this Archdiocese who has been working for many years in other countries, in all countries except Australia, all continents except Australia. For me, and as I have heard from my brother, Bishop Joseph Mary Kizito, this occasion puts us in emotions. When I came to the retirement age, for the bishops it is 75 years, the Holy Father, Pope Francis, told me that you appear to be still strong. Kankongere ekisanja e Belgium. But I told him that I have reached the age of retirement, and I think it's good to return to the diocese which gave me many things, not only birth, but baptism, confirmation. I was ordained a bishop here, and I think it's good also to return when I'm still, well, strong enough to render a few services, not as a parish priest. Not as the Archbishop of Kampala, but as one of the priests of the Archdiocese, together with the others in all capacities that I can render to our people. "46 years ago, I left the parish of Katende near Mpigi, where I was assistant parish priest, when Monsignor Kato was the parish priest at that time. Cardinal Nsubuga invited me to join the diplomatic service of the Holy See And I was hesitant because my health was not strong enough at that time. So I went to Lubaga Hospital, consulted a doctor and said, would you recommend me to go to study? He said yes, so I went. After 4 years in the Vatican Diplomatic School, I was appointed to Argentina, the country where the Pope comes from now. At that time, Pope Francis was not yet a bishop, he was the provincial of the Jesuits. But I want to share that in our service, there are many challenges which need a lot of prayer and courage and perseverance. But there are many joys too. When I arrived in Argentina, the country was in conflict with the neighboring country of Chile. But the Holy See, the Pope, was the mediator, which means that our diplomatic mission was directing that mediation. Thank God that after a few years, that country never went to war. There was a mutual understanding, and until today, they are peaceful. But before I left Argentina, 3 years after, the Falkland War started. The Argentines called it not Falkland, but Malvinas. Thank God too that the Pope came. He announced a journey just 10 days before, and he came. He spoke to the authorities. They listened, and the war stopped. Many lives were saved. I then continued my mission to the Central American islands in Haiti, where I stayed for 4 years. That country, even until today, has had many problems. We should pray for those people. They are very lovely people, very friendly, but with many problems. At that time, people who had not gone to school, who could not read or write, were about 70% at that time. I was a witness of the change of government, of a dictatorship that was there, that had been there for over about 20 years. And many people were living in exile, then they returned home. Even our house at that occasion was attacked. Thank God, those who were living there survived. Then I was transferred to Bangladesh. Bangladesh is, I think, perhaps the poorest country in the continent of Asia. So I was becoming an expert of poorest countries. The poorest of the Americas, Haiti, then the poorest of Asia, Bangladesh, and we also had a responsibility over Myanmar, which was called at that time Burma. After Bangladesh, I went to Portugal. Then I said, at last I come to a country where there is peace. But I spent only 2.5 years there, and in the meantime, I was asked to go back again to Haiti for another 6 months as a chargé d'affaires, because they said, since you know that country, now there are new problems. You go there and see what can be done. After Portugal, I went to Peru, South America. I was happy to have an occasion to revive the Spanish I had learned in Argentina. But in Peru also, at that time, they had 2 terrorist groups, Sendero Luminoso and another group which was called Tupac Amaru. You remember once those terrorists invaded the Japanese embassy when ambassadors were having their reception, and they spent many days inside that embassy until they were liberated by the forces of that country. During this period of my service in the diplomatic service of the Holy See, I have realized one thing, that the Church has a mission which is very important, and it surpasses the boundaries of our religions, Catholic, Protestant, Muslim, or not. The mission that why the Holy See has these embassies in the different countries, now we have them with accreditation to 183 countries. It is for peace, for reconciliation and justice among men. I when Pope John Paul II died, just a week before he died, he met the ambassadors accredited to the Holy See in the Vatican, and he said that wherever a human being is, the Catholic Church establishes a bond of brotherhood. And I am happy that Archdiocese of Kampala chose that theme for this year, which will conclude today. Fratelli tutti, we are all brothers and sisters. This is exactly the mission of the whole Church. We are all brothers and sisters. And I have lived this in my mission, especially with the diplomats. One of them was now in Brussels, where I have been, an ambassador of a country which is not even accredited to the Pope. When he had this document of the Pope, Fratelli Tutti, we were once in a reception, and he came to me and said, I want to challenge you, Muslim ambassador of a Middle East country, United Arab Emirates. He told me, I am on my national day, since the Pope says, Fratelli Tutti, we are all brothers, I will not give the speech, and I want you to come and give the speech in my place, in my embassy, reception, national day. I immediately said, Ambassador, I will come and I will do it with pleasure. When I did that, many ambassadors were so happy, and they discovered and realized, yes, the Church preaches love of neighbor, love of one another. And I'm happy also the new bishop of Aliwala has love one another as part of his motto. This morning, when I was saying my morning prayers, I saw in the breviary a text from the Second Vatican Council, the document Gaudium et Spes, paragraph 78, which speaks about peace in the world. And it says, the search for peace demands from us to be zealous in the practice of brotherhood. This was said by the Second Vatican Council, which concluded in 1965. But today, it is the theme we need to live. To practice, to be zealous in the practice of brotherhood. And yesterday when we were together with Bishop Joseph Mary Kizito at Kiwamirembe, I told the faithful, we are pilgrims, but did you look at the one who is standing beside you? Did you know where he comes from, or from Congo, from Rwanda, from Fort Portal, or from Tororo? And I said, look at one another and at least say a smile and say, I would pray for you. Fratelli tutti. This is the theme that concludes this year of the diocesan year, Archdiocesan year, but I think it is a theme that should not be put in the wardrobe, but could continue hand in hand with the new theme announced just now. Stand, take up what you have, what has been supporting you, and walk. I thank again the Archdiocese of Kampala also for having welcomed me. As nuncios, we can stay anywhere because these last 42 years in the service, I really have many friends here and there, and many would invite me to stay there. Even in Rome, the Pope Benedict created a house for retired nuncios, which is called House St. Benedict. But I preferred to return to my diocese. And our apostolic administrator advised me, come and stay with us here in Lubaga. And here I am. I want to assure you that my stay as apostolic nuncio was retired. By the way, the Holy Father told us that you nuncios, you are never emeritus. You are never emeritus. You always remain nuncios. You are no longer nuncio in Belgium or Nigeria, but you remain nuncios until you die. Which means you can even say, oh, let us call the former nuncio of Belgium to represent us in Tanzania when there is, I don't know what occasion there is. But he says, you will never be emeritus, you're only retired, but if you are not tired, you can always be useful. I thank everybody for your prayers and for your presence, and I wish you a happy celebration of the Archdiocesan Day.